Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Anfield Index Podcast, broadcasting to you from my house in a field here in beautiful rural Ireland. I'm Trev Downey, and I'm joined by Marie Hanahan and Kam Brainch for episode 300 and something of this fine and regular podcast about the Reds. And anyone who's been listening to us for a while, or even just listening to anything, including me for a while, will have worked out that for my sins, I am a government employee. And anyone who's been listening to me for a while or knows me a little bit at all will know that one of my pet hates is government. This presents a problem, shall we say, a problem I've tried to solve by undermining it at all opportunities whilst taking my government wages. This is how I like to make myself feel as if I'm making a difference in the world. Also, you may have known that I am entrusted with, partially at least, moulding the minds of the next generation. This is something I take quite seriously, especially when it comes to things like, letting them know what government is and how it works. In many ways, because I'm also a grumpy bastard who likes to eat a lot of meat, I have been compared to a certain Ron Swanson by those who know me well. A curmudgeon who actively loathes his job and yet seems to take a delight in it. So here we are, with a little compilation of some thoughts from the great Ron on government and moulding minds. It's about 2 minutes, and it's well worth your time. Now, it does kind of change from one scene to the next, but I think it's quite self-explanatory.
Ready?
I was born ready. I'm Ron Swanson.
My name is Ron Swanson, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the miserable, screwed-up world of local government.
You have mustard in your mustache.
Don't sass me, Burkus. Let's get started. Life, liberty, and property. It's John Locke. Under my tutelage, you will grow from boys into men, from men into gladiators, and from gladiators into Swansons. Behold, the Swanson Pyramid of Greatness. I've been developing the Swanson Pyramid of Greatness for years. It's a perfectly calibrated recipe for maximum personal achievement. Categories include capitalism, God's way of determining who is smart and who is poor. Crying, acceptable at funerals and the Grand Canyon. Rage, poise, property rights, fish for sport only, not for meat. Fish meat is practically a vegetable. Haircuts. There are 3 acceptable haircuts. High and tight, crew cut, buzz cut. Are the scissors broken in your house, son?
Hi there. Is there a project you're working on?
I know more than you.
All right.
When it comes to government hearings, the only type of witness I enjoy being is a hostile one. That's why I intend to answer every one of their questions with a question.
Were you aware that all of the entertainment and food was provided by rec center teachers?
Would I have stayed if I knew that?
I don't know. Would you have?
Would you have?
No, I wouldn't have. Did you hear Leslie make any promises?
What constitutes a promise?
A quid pro quo.
Oh, do you know Latin?
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Are we done? Every year, I give Leslie the same present I give everyone, a crisp $20 bill. And every year she gets me something thoughtful and personal. It makes me furious. This year, she outdid herself.
It's 2 doors that close automatically, so he can shut everybody out, just for the record.
She had it installed over the weekend. It's so beautiful. The Human Resources Department requires that I be available once a month to discuss workplace disputes with my employees. The rules do not specify whether or not I'm allowed to listen to Willie Nelson on my headphones.
And Kyle parked his car in my spot again. Now, that is the 4th time this month. Hello, Wall. Sorry, everybody. How things go for you.
The less I know about other people's affairs, the happier I am. I'm not interested in caring about people. I once worked with a guy for 3 years and never learned his name. Best friend I ever had. We still never talk sometimes.
Are you Ron Swanson?
I am.
Okay, what exactly did you teach my daughter?
It must be Mrs. Burkus.
Lauren was supposed to do a paper on why government matters. This is what she wrote.
It doesn't. Well said.
I came full circle in the end. I had to keep going with it. It's remarkable. I've been working on the Downey Pyramid of Greatness for the last couple of days as well, so we'll start filling in some categories there as we go along through the season. Good evening to you both, Lisa and Kam. Lisa Marie, we'll start with you. I know you've had a busy week, work-wise. Pretty hectic schedule. You were telling me you got to see Spurs, not so much with the more recent Aston Villa game. But let's talk not about that for a second, but just about how you got through the week. Sounds like a lot of travel.
Yes, this week. Oh, hello, everybody. And again, for the record, this is episode 325.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, I was on site for one of my projects in Oklahoma again, but not the same place in Oklahoma. For the record, I have not been to Oklahoma in roughly 12 and a half years, and I've now gone twice within 6 weeks. But no, so I flew into Tulsa and was then in a town about 2 hours away working on a renovation addition project there. So flew out Monday, got in late, meetings all day. So anyway, long week. And this is going to throw me even worse since we're recording on Thursday and we usually record on Friday. So I'm just totally messed up, but that's okay. But yes,
well, I can only apologize on behalf of the show for upsetting your schedule.
Well, it's been out of whack for a couple of weeks anyway. Yeah. So, this it's whatever. But I do have a couple quick quotes to open with if that is permissible.
Yeah, please do.
My expectations were reduced to 0 when I was 21. Everything since then has been a bonus. Stephen Hawking.
Huh.
If we had no winter, the spring would not be so pleasant. If we did not sometimes taste of an adversity, prosperity would not be so welcome. That is Anne Bradstreet. But to me, those just sort of maybe summed up some of the chatter I've seen on social media here since the Tottenham game where, all of a sudden it's all gloom and doom because we tied and, or had the draw, as you all would say. And it's like, hello, all is not lost. And let's appreciate all the wonderful things, this team has given us so far this season and hopefully more to come. So anyway, that's what inspired those.
I'm glad you went with that because I've seen something almost the far end of that. We've seen a lot of people. They don't need much by way of excuse to get negative and gloomy and pessimistic and sound entitled, which is the worst of all of it. But I've seen quite a lot of bits and pieces like that, and I have to say, one of the things that stuck in my craw a little bit was I've seen it from people, and I know they're trying to sound rational and reasonable, and they sound like they're trying to have the same sentiment as you are there, but it's completely different. They're saying things like, look, if we only win the one trophy that we've won this season, I'll still be fine with that. Well, I won't. I know you won't. And we all want to go for every last thing that's available, including the frickin' league. I don't care how many times they roll out Kevin the Bryan and get him to bang in numerous deflections. It's until it can't happen, we won't be letting go of it. And I do really appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate that sentiment on your behalf at the start, because there was way too much leaning into the negativity. I mean, God alive, what are you going to do if things do actually start going wrong at some stage and we're not actually in contention for every single freaking trophy like we are this season? Kam, I can only assume, my friend, that you've been very much putting in the miles as well as you usually do. But I know that the week started for you, or the Liverpool week for us started for you with a very, very special occasion as you went to take in the Tottenham game.
Indeed. I took my youngest daughter, who's 15, to her first football game. Big shout out and thank you to Harinder Baji for sorting me 2 tickets in the Kop. And I can remember the first time I went in the Kop, not to my first match, but first time I went in the Kop, I was really quite apprehensive, because I was on my own. And, it was the Kop. Like, my daughter didn't have any of that because she's with her dad and, she's just going to a game of football. But I've got to admit, it was one of the best days of my life. Genuinely was. Result aside, that was almost secondary at the end of it, because it was just like having a whole day with my daughter like that, and showing her around Anfield, showing her the Hillsborough Memorial, the Shankly statue, the Bob Paisley, Emlyn Hughes, finding our tiny little photo on the mural. The photo mural on the side of the club shop. There's a really tiny little photo of me with Gags and Harinder Faji in there. So showing her that and just going in the club shop. And then we went into the stadium, into the ground itself about 45 minutes before kickoff, and she goes, "Oh, the stadium doesn't look so big," because we were at the top end of the Kop, so she couldn't see the main grandstand from the inside. And I said, "You're only seeing one row there. One's here. Two. There's another 2 tiers above that." Oh. So it was just a phenomenal day, and the noise was just building up and building up and building up, and then. Obviously when we went home, and then she was fast asleep on the way back because it was a late finish, it was nearly 10 o'clock when we got back to the car, and it was like 1 o'clock when we got home by the time we stopped, had a little bite to eat and everything. And she finished it off by saying to her mum, I told Lisa Marie this before the show started, she told her mum, "Our dad's even madder in the ground than he is at home."
I love that that's her takeaway from this big day. It's that you're a fucking lunatic.
Yeah. In a nutshell. I didn't hold back. It wasn't. I've got to watch myself because my daughter's there now. I was full throttle Brainchy. So So it was just like I say. Right now, I was just in such a good place on Saturday. We phoned up the Nina Kauser show afterwards, and again, I just sort of, was saying that what a brilliant day I've had. I've probably embarrassed her now because she's listening to this and thinking, "Oh God, Dad's embarrassing me again," and talking about it and all that crap. But it was just a great day, I mean, I know everyone lost their shit because we dropped 2 points, and if City win every game, they win the league, regardless of whether those 2 points are dropped. And it won't be those 2 points that would have cost us the league. They would have contributed, but it would have been, the 2 points we dropped in other drawn games at the beginning of the season. I saw an interesting stat, actually. Up until the new year or something, we've drawn 5 and lost 2. Thiago hadn't played any of those games. And Naby was only in 2 of those, and those weren't losses.
It's almost like you're perpetuating a certain argument there with that little bit of insight. But yeah, it is an interesting stat, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it just shows that I think a bit of control that those guys do bring to certain games.
Yeah,
I'm not saying every game, they can't do that every game, but it was just an interesting one, wasn't it? That was all.
Well, we're gonna end up talking about midfield and control and a lot of that kind of stuff when we look forward to the big game at the weekend, which will be, probably the second topic that we go to. But just before we do, and just in case I do anything as absolutely horrendous as I did last week, stepping on Lisa Marie's toes and not letting her do her big Mother's Day thing where she was going to talk about how great she was.
It was not.
Did you have
I was going to talk about Mother's Day, but I was going to talk about me.
Sure. Did you have a specific intro, Kam, yourself you wanted to?
Mine was just obviously that was a nice one, I think. That you led me into there. Just a Paris travel watch. I'm truly blessed to have. Yeah. I didn't put a T in there. I went BRESSED, and I'm like, it's not even a word. I've just made it. So I am truly blessed with some very, very special people in my life, and this is a big shout out to Mr. Aman Singh, who owns Mr. Singh's Pizzas. So he was going down with 3 others in their car to Paris. No tickets, but they were going to go anyway. Eurostar booked and everything. And when he found out I was like struggling to get out to Paris for a reasonable price, he said, just give me a couple of days. And then before the game on Saturday, we met him and his lad and his brother and his brother's lad at a vegetarian burger place in Liverpool city centre. Me, Harinder, and my daughter had eaten somewhere else. They came up a bit later. It was just around the corner from where we were. It's called Mr. Frost Burgers, and I'm telling you, amazing burgers in there. They're absolutely banging. So we met him in there, and he goes, "Oh yeah, Kam, just a reminder, you're going Paris, lad." And I'm like, "Okay, what's going on?" He goes, "We've managed to book a people carrier. So they've only gone out and booked a people carrier and not taken their own car at expense to make sure that I can come along to Paris."
No way.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
That's a nice touch, man.
Yeah,
that is. That's a nice little feel-good story. I'm loving this.
I've just had a great week. I don't care about anything right now. It just feels great. So.
By the way,
and obviously the result Tuesday night was even better as well, then, wasn't it? So
it's fantastic, and we'll go right there. I'll get a takeaway from both of you from the weekend. And get ourselves started into the content. Just solve a little personal quiz I was having with myself. You don't even have to reveal who it was who was driving said vehicle. But I was looking at the photos that you were sending en route to the game on Saturday with your kid. Yeah. And I've got, as you may know, a little bit of a car obsession, probably on a level with yourself. I was trying to guess the interior. So can you just reveal the make and model of the car you're traveling in to see if I was right?
Well, what do you think it was? And then I'll tell you if you're right or not.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, he's going to get away with that easily.
What took me aback was it was not what I was expecting.
Okay.
Right. I was expecting a Mercedes, and I don't think it is. Am I right?
It's not a Mercedes, no.
Yeah. And then I thought, well, what else? And it actually looks remarkably like actually look remarkably like my own car, interior wise.
Yours is a VW, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
No, what I've got now at the moment is a Hyundai Tucson.
Okay.
And it looked, a couple of the features that I could see feck all, but I was trying to put it together.
Okay.
So, was I wrong?
You're still wrong, yes.
What was it?
It was a BMW 7 Series.
I should have guessed that. There's a couple of little things. It's unbelievable. The trim is very, very similar. Anyway, that was by the by, and I'm completely, we've lost about 7 million listeners as we work out my little issues there. So look, we're in a situation where, City have gone on and City'd a couple of games in a row, and lots of people are throwing everything from the pram and giving it all up. And of course, the idea I was speaking to Jan Mulby about last night in our show was, did you hear actually there could be a playoff if blah, blah, blah. Well, I think the goalkeepers thing is probably not going to happen at this point. Yeah. Somebody said, did you know that Southampton have not been beaten 9-0 this season yet?
They have been beaten 6-0 though.
So the playoffs a bust, and we're actually obviously now looking for a situation where 2 different results go for us in the remaining matches for City, and that's just highly, highly unlikely. However, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I really want us to win the 2 games that we've got left, and I'll tell you why. It's not because I think, it will mean then that we have a tremendous chance of winning the league, because I fully expect City to win their matches. It's because I want to finish on the maximum points we can, which will leave us only 3 behind, which means we can look them right in the face and go, congratulations on buying another title, and we're still here and we're not going anywhere, and next time maybe you won't get away with it, and I think that sort of defiant thing is going to be as important as anything else. And so, a long-winded way of saying, I was hugely, hugely enthused with the win last night against Stevie Gerrard's crowd. It wasn't last night, it was the night before, wasn't it? And it made a big difference to me and to my mindset going into these last few games. There's a big negative, of course. We've lost our midfield general. That's not good at all. And he's definitely officially out. Fabinho is for the FA Cup final tomorrow. 2 days from now. I'm doing it now, Lisa Marie. So that's a killer. And the likelihood is he probably won't play either of the league games that remain either. And we're going to try to be getting him in a position to play in the Champions League final. And who knows, even with the injury he has, even that might be stretched. So that's a little bit of a downer, to say the least. But, I was quite happy with the way things went when we had to change it up. Hendo came in, I thought did well in the 6, and Thiago came on. I thought Thiago did really, really well. I thought doing a lot of bits there and really, really starting to exert a bit of influence. And I thought, the game changed for the better, probably because Fab was in bad form anyway before he went off, and whatever, the energy levels went up a little bit. It was good to see. My takeaway is, it leaves us on track to do that one thing that I want to do, which is just to win all our games, because it is a statement of defiance and I want us to do that. And that is what has made me happy this week. However, we are all very different individuals. So Lisa Marie, let me go back to you. I know the game that you saw was the Spurs game, and you and I spoke briefly a little bit about that, trying to take the small comforts away from it. Like, at least Harry Kane didn't get a winner was one that we both agreed on.
Absolutely. Because we all know how much I love Harry Kane.
Yes, of course. But there was quite a lot to enthuse about in that performance, the one that you did get to see all of. But your other takeaway from the week, whether positive or negative, maybe you want to lean into the Fab story, maybe it doesn't have to be a good news thing, whatever your takeaway from the Liverpool week was.
Probably one of the things is just the difference that I think Diaz is making. He's not necessarily playing the full match, but it's something that we talked about back, end of January when he was signed, is that he was that additional option for us in attack. And that, again, what he's proven to be. And I think just because he has played in on Tuesday he played on the right, but he's played in the middle, he's played down the left. And I don't think our opposition really knows how to deal with him quite yet. And not just that, just watching him, there was a point, I think it was the bits that I caught of the, on a rewatch for the Villa game that, he just holds on to that ball. He does not, he's just, he's just so good with the ball at his feet. And so I think we said when he was signed that, this could really be the difference maker for us, to stay in all these competitions. And I think it very much has proven to be.
Yeah. There's that phrase transformative signing. I've heard it used a few times, and we've taken in some wonderful talents over the years. Probably most notably Luis Suarez and Virgil van Dijk, who've arrived in January. But to have the potential impact on a season that this guy's going to have in terms of maybe getting things over the line, there may well be nothing that'll ever rival it if we are successful in getting the 2 trophies that we still remain in finals for, and who knows what happens after that. There'll be never anything to rival it. It is amazing to watch, and so reassuring as well to know that you got that extra little level of excellence and brilliance, whether on the field or to be taken from the bench. It gives you a lovely feeling of potentiality, doesn't it, in each game, Lisa Marie?
It does. And that's it. Even though, Jota hasn't been in good form, Mo, of course, hasn't been in great form. So it's kind of kept us from running the 2 of them into the ground along with Salah. And of course, Bobby's had a couple injury issues, since Diaz was signed. So it really has made all the difference for our depth, in the world. Now I know, we have Origi and Minamino and some others that, that we could have brought off the bench, but I just really feel that, it feels like Diaz is a missing piece to the puzzle.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, Kam, I'd like to give you a take on this topic as well, because, we talk about everything on this show, but we're also very much interested in talking about the good things and seeing the best side of things. And Luis Diaz is just such a wonderful story for us. Even you know how good it is, Kam. You know how good he is, and how much of a pure Liverpool player he looks when even the kind of humdrum BT and Sky pundits, you find them saying the same things that we're saying. Like, he looks like he's been here for years. He looks like he's been a Liverpool player for ages. This kind of thing. Have you seen those guys doing that? And I do mean that in a very insulting way, in case that's not being clear, because they're mostly shite. They wouldn't commentate or observe their way out of a lighthouse. So what I'm trying to say is, when even they are saying it, there's got to be something to it. This idea that he's just to the manner born, and man, he could be a difference maker as we go on in the remaining games.
Indeed. And I think he's just warming up still. He's still settling in.
Yeah.
He's still learning the system. He's still trying to understand the way our players play, the way our players move, which spaces to target. This is all going to develop over the summer, especially now, with a good pre-season. This has been his pre-season, you could say as well. So, we've got a lot to look forward to with Mr. Diaz there. Next, 4 games we have left are going to be very, very exciting. There's still a lot going on. And he's got a big part to play in all 4 games. We could be talking in 2 weeks' time about one of the most amazing seasons ever, or just a good season. But at the beginning of the season, who would have said on May the 12th we still had a slight outside chance of winning 4 trophies? We've not lost the league yet. It's not over. City could have used up all their goals by now. They banged a few in the last 2 games. They're due a drought 1 game, aren't they? Surely.
I love the idea that they've got an allocation and that they might be about to hit. Yeah, that's.
Here's a little one for you. Not that it means anything at all. When we won the league a couple of seasons ago, was it a couple of seasons ago? It was a couple of seasons ago, wasn't it? Yes. We went to Villa Park and a defender scored and Mane scored. Went to Villa Park this year, a defender scored and Mane scored.
Yep.
And we were 1-0 down in both those games.
That's true.
Well, this is clearly a sign.
And it's the Pope's birthday on the same day.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
Any other rubbish I can come up with. So,
yeah, and a magpie flew backwards over your head.
That's right. And there was a royal wedding this year as well, wasn't there? Don't forget that. That one that nobody was invited to. Yeah.
Well, the only thing about those lists, Kam, is the last few times they've come up, they had a significance in the end, and they were usually around the European finals, actually, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
But, the last 2 games for City, let's just get this out of the way now between the 3 of us, are West Ham and Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa, we played in the most recent game, and I think we can all agree there's a lot to admire in what Stevie's got going there. There's quite a few very good footballers capable of doing good bits. Jan last night was at pains to point out that their defensive stability has been their best thing in the Gerrard years, which is, of course, an interesting thing when you think about, like most of us, including me, look at their attacking players. I wonder if they're capable of doing anything. And then the other one is West Ham, who could have been on their holidays because they could have had a European trophy final to be obsessing about. Now they don't. And the league table is an interesting look at the moment. The league table, as things stand, is very, very, very interesting. Am I right in saying that there's a big game on? Is the Spurs-Arsenal game? Is that tonight? Or am I making that up?
It is tonight.
I think it is.
Yeah. If Arsenal will win, Chelsea and Arsenal are in the Champions League with Liverpool and City next season.
So West Ham will have seen themselves get to the semi-final of a Europa League, and they will see themselves with a game in hand over Man United, who are in 6th place, and they are 3 points behind them. And they will be thinking, we quite liked European football, and we'd quite like to do that again. So they really do have something to fight for. And that other game, Aston Villa have probably nothing to fight for and could well be a busted flush. But it would be interesting if we could at least bring it back to finishing on level on points and maybe get something out of that West Ham game. I'm asking you now, Kam, and then I'll go to Lisa Marie. Do you fancy a possibility there at all, or is it wishful thinking on our part, having looked at how City now have nothing left except to do this and to try and steamroll their way through the last couple of games, and it would be an abject failure if they failed to win the league. So you put all those things together. Do you have any real hope around either of those fixtures?
Yeah, totally. It's football, isn't it? Nobody can. No, if people are so confident Man City are going to win the next 2 games, put money on it. Go and beat the bookies. Go for it. But there's always that little bit of doubt that something could go wrong. At the end of the day, if football was that easy and you think City are going to win every game, why haven't they won 38 games ever in a season? If they're that good. It just doesn't work that way. Who would have said they would have lost games earlier in the season that they lost, or drawn games that they drew early in the season? Who would have said that when they got it back to 2-2 against Tottenham at the Etihad, they would lose it in injury time? You just don't know what's going to happen in the game of football. If you're honestly sitting there boiling in your own whatever, thinking, oh, Liverpool have thrown it away. That's fine. Carry on. Boil in your own whatever. But to think that you still haven't got a chance of something happening, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I don't hear the fat lady singing. Do you, Trev?
I don't. I've got my ear cocked, and I don't.
Yeah.
And
that's the point.
I just looked back to the reverse fixtures for both of those. You know, when they played West Ham and Aston Villa in the league earlier in the season, they only beat each of those teams by 1 goal. I mean, they won 2-1 in both of those games. So it's not like they slaughtered either team, and ran away with it. So, yeah.
See, my big hope is West Ham, because West Ham have that game in hand over United. They could go level on points, and their goal difference is like 10 better than United. So that's a point, effectively, because United aren't going to turn that around. So that is a real opportunity for them to do something. However, I haven't looked at it, and I should have just done this straight away. Man Types live on podcast.
Brilliant
West
radio.
Ham fixtures. It's absolutely.
But he's narrating it just like it was a great story, so it's okay.
Oh no! There you go. Oh, the bad news. Do you want the bad news?
Fine.
They've got Brighton on the last day. Their other fixture.
West Ham?
Yeah, their other fixture is Brighton. So even
I don't know. Brighton's been playing pretty well. They just beat Man United by four goals. So they've been on a pretty good run lately.
Brighton as good as Liverpool now. She beat Man United by 4 at home.
Yeah. Well, look, what I'm glad to see, Lisa Marie, is that there seems to be a degree of hope. But you're sharing that too. I can tell by it. Yeah.
Would you expect anything else?
I wouldn't. And listen, I don't. It's all too easy to be fatalistic and write stuff off. But you have to. Why not have a little bit of hope while it still remains? And look, speaking of hope, we've got this one big thing on our immediate horizon. We're recording, like you guys have said, on Thursday evening. It's 10 to 7 now, and we're looking ahead to the weekend to a Fabinho-less Liverpool taking on Chelsea in the FA Cup final. There are rumours that in the Chelsea camp there may be no Kante, there may be no Kovacic, but they are only rumours. We have confirmation that Fabinho will not play. We know because we've seen Liverpool play Chelsea a couple of times already this season, quite a few times, and the games have been deadlocked. These are a wonderfully talented squad who are, as Jan said last night, I thought we put it well, they're set up to play well against Liverpool. So it's going to be a massive challenge. They've had a bit of a falling away. I mean, they're 20 points behind us or 19 points behind us in the league. It had looked early on, I think you'll both agree, very much like it was going to be a 3-horse kind of race. And in fact, it looked like we might be doing a bit of chasing of Chelsea ourselves. Our superior quality over the season has shown. However, you can't denigrate this crew that Tuchel has put together. Tuchel didn't put them together. It's a ridiculous squad that's been put together over a long period of time by the obscene wealth of an individual, and it's no different in many ways to what we're up against with City. So all of those things need to be put into perspective. I've seen mainstream media, websites, putting out stories along the lines of, poor City, they don't have enough squad depth. Poor Chelsea, they've had injuries. It's bananas. It's gaslighting at the highest order. We have a squad who was decimated last year. Nobody gave a shit. They talked about how we, they sneered and were, stuck, with their mouths agape while we managed to get Champions League on the last day. There's a weird thing going on here, and Chelsea are very, 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 very talented squad of footballers, regardless of whether they have Jorginho and Kovacic or Kante or whoever they have in the middle of the park. I'm looking ahead to it, and I'm getting it hard to see it being anything other than close again, precisely because of all the wonderful footballers they have, and precisely because, like with City, they've now got nothing really to mark the season. And you're talking about the current reigning European champions. So let me start with you on this one, Lisa Marie. I mean, looking ahead to it, trepidation's not the word. Trepidation's never the word anymore with Liverpool. You might be slightly irked and a bit wary of someone like Manchester City, but you're never trepidatious. Not with this lot, not with our team. But I am wary because they are a bit stung. They're a bit of an injured, wounded animal. They've got nothing else that they can look at as objective success apart from qualifying for the Champions League, which they've kind of done in their sleep. So I think there's a lot on the line for them, and we could be easily, without being unprofessional, we could easily be not have all our eyes on the prize because there's another prize to go for, and it's a bigger one. How are you feeling about this game and the comparative threat they pose?
I'm with you with the trepidation. Yeah, I mean, I don't, and I haven't paid. I mean, I've been paying attention to the results the last few weeks, but I haven't seen them play at all. But I think you're right. I mean, this is all they have to play for. Their season is, they're out of the Champions League. They're out of, they probably most likely, unless something, they're going to finish third in the Premier League. So this is kind of their one shot at a trophy for the season. Plus, we beat them in the other cup final. So you have to think that, they don't want part of the story of their season to be that they lost 2 finals to Liverpool. So yeah, and I mean, but then the other half of me starts thinking, what's going on at that club with the ownership and, and I've paid more attention at the beginning. I have not really been paying attention probably the last few weeks, but that has to weigh on those players, what is our club situation going to be? Who's the new owner? What are they going to do? How is this going to affect, our contracts and bringing players in and all of that. So I think that has to be incredibly, mentally stressful, for everyone at that club. And, I don't know. I think, Tuchel's a good manager, but I don't think he has the same gift that Klopp does in sort of setting the mentality for his players. And so I think that's what we've been seeing probably in the last couple of weeks with that fall off in their form. But you have to think that, they're going to want to, pull it all together and give it their all and try to win this match on Saturday. So I absolutely agree with you. I mean, our team can beat anyone on the day. And Fab not being in the team, that does make you a little more, kind of grit your teeth a little bit and cross your fingers. But I still think it's still very, very doable. And, but it'll be interesting to see if the rumors of some of the injuries they've got are true, or if that's, some sort of mind game, or, who knows.
Yeah, and it's hard to not suspect that it might be, because there's way too much talk about it. Whereas, like I say, our one's confirmed. And Kam, just to frame it up a different way for you, because Lisa Marie's kind of alluded to it there, but they managed a 3-0 win over Leeds yesterday. And I kind of was glancing across Twitter, and I could see people basically metaphorically throwing their phones at the wall and going, "Oh, I'm going to bed," and stuff like that. After they'd scored a goal, and I think was it Dan James got himself sent off, and so it was a bit of a I think, but yeah, obviously Liverpool fans wanted to see them continue their run of bad form, and just so we can maybe put that into a little bit of perspective. Before that 3-0 win last night, their previous game was against Wolves, and it was 2-2. Their previous game to that, they got beaten by Everton, off all people. Previous to that, they'd had a 1-1 with the Manx, which is hardly a creditable result given how United are at the moment. Yeah. Before that, they had a 1-0 win at West Ham, but the game before that, they were beaten 4-2 by Chelsea. The game before that, they had
4-2 by.
by Arsenal.
Arsenal, right.
And the game before that was the FA Cup semi-final win, and then the one before that was them going out of the Champions League to Real. So we have to remember that they got as far as that, going out of the Champions League to Real in the quarterfinals. We have to remember that they have put an FA Cup run together. Alongside of that they've been balanced in fixtures as well, and we have to remember that they were the ones who got as far as the final of the League Cup as well, because we saw them there. How do you put their form in perspective, or does it fall into the category, Kam, of not really mattering because they are a really talented bunch of players and it's the ultimate one-off, isn't it, an FA Cup final?
Exactly that. The last comment. The form is relevant. This is their one chance of winning the trophy this season. It's their chance of revenge. You know, they will be going all out, guns blazing. I expect Kovacic, I can't say his name, I'll let you pronounce it, and Kante to start. I don't think they're injured, or if they are injured, they will be on the placenta. Tommy Tuchel will be doing some Dracula dark arts there, no doubt. It's going to be a hell of a game. Lucky enough to be there. I'll be with the podfather himself, Mr. Fandon, meeting up with Rinda Baji and the gang before the game, have a meal. We're just going to, I think we'll smash them, to be honest. Somebody's due a smashing in a final. I want it to be Real, obviously. I really want us to smash them. But I think Chelsea will be trying that much harder this time that they may leave themselves that little bit more open to us. And I think we'll be expecting that, and hopefully we can exploit that. My biggest worry for us for the game is the form of Mo. He's just absolutely goosed, and I think, you know, he's played a phenomenal amount of football this season. And I think the defeats in the AFCON final, the defeat in the World Cup qualifier, did him a lot. I think it's really got to him, and if we can just suddenly win this game on Saturday and Mo plays half decent, we're sorted. We are absolutely sorted for the next 3 games. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you.
You think it's a psychological thing with him at the moment, as opposed to a physical thing?
Yeah. I mean, I know he scored a couple of goals against United, but he wants it in a big game. United's not a big game anymore. Nah, sorry, they are.
I'm trying to understand, because you started off by saying he's goose. He played more football than anybody else. And the reason I'm not.
I think his goose mentally. I'm not trying to be. I think his goose mentally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well,
I know he's played a lot of football.
How do you explain, Kam?
Yeah.
The increasing amount of quotations, usually accompanied by Mo in some sort of stripy T-shirt, or with a big shit-eating grin on his face, going, "I'm the best," or I think I should be this, or I want to be this, or I want Real Madrid, or whatever it happens to be. It seems like, I don't know whether it's been done deliberately or these things have been put into the press in that way, because obviously that can happen. But I've never seen so many quotations from Mo Salah at a time when, you know, his output, you know, by the way, Football Writers Player of the Year, it's a fella who's done things this season like we've never seen before. Yeah. And yet we're all greedy. So we want him to be him for these last few games. And you think it might be as simple as, scoring a bit of a wonder hit in this final, or something like that he needs just to get back.
I do, yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's just a little bit of a mental barrier. Watching him Saturday, don't get me wrong, Tottenham doubled up, tripled up on him. They didn't give him a lot of space, but he just lost that touch of calmness. And it just seemed that, when a football player can just sort of make time slow down to their pace, to the way they want the game to be, it just felt like he just lost that slightly. I mean, you just go back to earlier in the season and think of the 2 goals, one against Man City, one against Watford, in 1 week after the other. 2 very, very similar goals. That he played the game. He played those goals at his pace, the way he wanted.
It's bullet time from the Matrix, really, isn't it? He's just on a different, he's on a different wavelength, and
and
I know
that's what's gone for him at the moment.
Yeah,
and if he could just get back to that, bang.
And I hate to say it, but it may well be necessary, because without Fab, we are going to be missing a layer of security in our team, which not half enough humans who pontificate about the game for a living seem to understand the importance of his role, especially when it comes to providing that kind of security blanket and sweeping things up. And, it's a massive loss, no matter what way. Whatever, we can maybe attempt these last 2 Premier League games, and it's not like we can't cobble together a decent midfield, especially when we've got all this other attacking talent. But what I'm saying, I suppose, Kam, and I'm going to reverse this back then to Lisa Marie, is it might well be one of those things where it could be a game where it could be a little bit old Liverpool, where we might have a certain amount of porousness through the middle, and therefore they may have, as an opposition, chances to score, but we need to be that old Liverpool that can get 4 if you get 3. Do you know that kind of way? It may well be one of those games.
That to me.
Well, that was actually the Kam. I said I was going to.
I'm sorry. I thought it was to Lisa Marie. So I'll let Lisa Marie go. Go on.
Yeah. Please do.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, here's the thing. I think our team on the day can be very good about making that adjustment to just whatever it takes to get the win over the line.
Yeah.
And if it turns out that that's what it's going to take, I have every bit of confidence that they will adjust effectively. I mean, we've even seen it, and I can't think of a specific example right now, but where it's, we've ended up doing, 2 in midfield and, putting a 4th attacker on just because we need, that's the way the game is turning. So I have no doubt that we're just going to set up and do whatever is necessary, make the changes, and we get 5 subs, right? For the cup, FA, I think. So that gives you even greater flexibility in being able to maybe make those changes that can affect the game more, I think. So I have every bit of confidence that we're just going to do whatever. We're going to give it our all and do whatever it takes to get it over the line. And and if it's 4-3, if it's 1-0, whatever. But our guys, that is something that I think we can often say about our guys. Don't give up. They are going to fight, until that final whistle blows. And we've seen them, pull off many a last minute, goal and miracle. And so, I have no doubt that they'll do that.
When you think about it as well, for all the Fabinho news is a bit of a deflating thing. We do also have, and again, it might feed into the 5 subs thing, and might feed into the starting lineup thing. We also have, once again, the availability of Roberto Firmino, who is another lad that people still don't see coming. And I think that is wonderful news for us with the massive games that we have ahead, because he can be instrumental in changing a game. And I have a bit of a spidey sense about Bobby Firmino and the end of this season. I don't know what it is, but I think maybe he might be kind of important to getting Mo back to doing Mo stuff. It's just a feeling, but I think it couldn't hurt genuinely think it couldn't hurt. So I'd be delighted to see Bobby get a good chunk of this game. I don't see, and again, I'll take both of your opinions on how we go, and I'm going to start it off, but I don't see him shaking it up too much. Look, Salah started on the bench against Villa. That's got to be with an eye to the final. I was surprised. I thought he might have been just rested altogether, like Andy Robbo was. So that's
Robbo wasn't even on the bench.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He stayed home.
He got a night off. So I thought he might do that for Mo as well. I genuinely did. Just take him out of the firing line altogether. But no, and with Mo, we know it's about rhythm and all the rest of it. Didn't really work out yet again with his little cameo. But I don't see any situation where he doesn't start. I don't see any situation where Diaz doesn't start with the form he's in. And I don't see any situation where you don't play Sadio Mane, who's our kind of clutch player at the moment, if we're all being perfectly honest. He's been fantastic through the middle for us. So I imagine he goes with the three up top as is. I can imagine a midfield of Thiago and Hendo, and I imagine it'll be Naby Keita. And I would think, it being a final, he might go with Joel Matip, but some people might reckon it could be a game for Konate. I'd like to get your take on this. So, just so we're absolutely clear here, Kam, I'm starting with you. Your chosen, your predicted 11. If you want to go kind of, I think he'll do this, but I'd like to see that as you go. I get that as well. So, what do you reckon?
I think there's only one position that's going to be the one that we're going to be thinking who's going to play, and that's the centre-back alongside Virgil. I think the rest of it is, as you said, so Alisson in goal, Trent, Virgil, Robbo, Hendo, Thiago, Keita, Diaz, Mane, Salah. So is he going to go for Konate? Is he going to go for Matip? Matip was brilliant against Spurs. Not Spurs, sorry, against
Villa.
Villa, he was really good, despite being bundled over by Costas for the goal that they conceded. He was really good, really, really good. You know, I thought he played really well. Konate made a big mistake for the Spurs goal, in that he had a simple header to Fabinho and he just headed it into the middle of the pitch, and Kane picked it up, and then the rest is history. Saying that, I think he'll start Konate still. And I've got nothing to base that on. Just a gut feeling, you know, and that's what I think he'll do. I don't know why, but he played, did he not play Konate against Chelsea in the Carling Cup, Carabao Cup? I think he did.
Yeah.
He took a penalty.
Yeah. Well,
I think Matip started, but Konate came on.
Oh, is that what it was?
Maybe. You're right, though. He did take a penalty kick.
Yeah. His was the most dicey penalty, wasn't it? So,
yeah.
Well, last night, for Chelsea, who had that 3-0 win, Kovacic went off. So I don't know if that's where they're getting the he might be injured thing. But across the top, they went with Lukaku, Pulisic, and Mason Mount. Now, between Mason Mount and Pulisic, you've got a lot of pace and running in from the side and at different angles. And in Lukaku, you've got this, you know, traditional, on his day, incredible target man. So this is the potential attacking threat you've got. However, they can also call on the much maligned Timo Werner, who didn't suddenly turn into a shit player. He just hasn't been great for Chelsea. They've got Hakim Ziyech as well, and they've got Kai Havertz. So they have an absolute embarrassment of attacking talent. And I'm trying to think what is sort of the horses for courses here, Lisa Marie, because you know, I can see an argument for, well, maybe Konate has a little bit more pace, but Joel's been pretty unflappable and he makes a lot of very, very, very good decisions. So I'm not really sure. I think maybe against the likes of their target man, he might be the guy. I don't know. I think it's a very tight call, and I think that's credit to both players. That I'm not going to be upset whichever of them is.
I agree. And actually, I've been sitting here debating with myself, through this whole conversation about. And by the way, I did look it up. Matip did start the other cup final, and then Konate came on. Yeah, so we're remembering that correctly. I think, Allison, Trent, Virgil, Robo, and Matip. I see both sides to your argument, if you will, Trev. I mean, Konate's got that bit more pace, and that might be the answer. But either one of them partner well with Virgil, so that is, that's in the, I guess, plus/minus column when you're trying to make your argument. So, I think it's a coin toss there as to which one of those starts. I think you're right with Hendo, Thiago, and Naby Keita for the midfield. And I think Salah, Mane, Diaz start, and you've got Bobby to come off the bench, or maybe even Bobby and Jota to, if we need something different to kind of mix that up a little bit. And even maybe, what I talked about a few minutes ago, where, if you pull one of your midfielders and, maybe pull Keita and have, one of them on for, that additional attack. I don't know. I honestly think some of it's just, I think this is what starts. And, as far as the substitutes, it's just going to be how the game unfolds.
And across the top, you reckon I reckon guys,
Salah, Mane, Diaz.
Yeah. It's hard to look past that. I think Bobby is in it.
Top.
What's that?
There is another option.
Say again?
There is another option. You don't start Diaz. You bring him on after 60 minutes. Imagine his pace against a tyrant.
Oh, that's a thought. You're right.
But I've never been a fan of that.
No, neither have I. But you see, it's not a 90-minute game. This potentially, it's 120 minutes.
With that in mind, we're ignoring the elephant in the room, which is, could the midfield be Thiago, Henderson, and Jimbo Milner?
Yes.
I've seen madder things happening because, Curtis didn't quite put up his hand. He did fine. I think he did fine.
Yeah, I think he did well. The bits that I saw of the Villa game, I think he held his own. And again, considering he hasn't hardly played.
Yeah, he played his way into the game, but I'm just thinking, this is Jurgen, and Jurgen is a man for his loyal servants. And it's please, if you're listening to this and screeching at the whatever device you're listening to, I'm not saying that this is what I want. For me, the only selection we have is to go with our best three, which is currently with Fabinho not fit. It's Henderson and Thiago and Naby, and they're all in variations of half decent form. So that's what it's got to be for me. But I have this feeling Jurgen's going to do something mad. Now, maybe he'll save Jimmy Milner for the Southampton game. That's very likely. I think he will play in that. I think he probably will. I think Divock will play in the Southampton game as well. Or certainly Bobby Firmino will start that game because we're going to need him back up to match fitness. So that's going to be interesting. Look, if I was to ask you gut feeling, I always do this with Jan, like how you feel it's going to go. I don't want to put you on the spot, but Cam's already said that he reckons we're not just going to win. You reckon there could be a sort of and again, dude, you're kind of, I'm not sure where you're going with this, because 1 minute you're telling me we're going to stomp them, and the next minute you're telling me it's going to be 120 minutes.
Stomp them in the extra time,
Stomp them in the extra time. Okay, I will take those mixed messages and run with it, because I think it's.
I haven't got a frigging clue, have I?
But no, who does, man? Who does? And anyone who tells you they do know how a game is going to go is lying, because it's totally unpredictable, this one. Look, we do have, realistically speaking, the Southampton game will have happened as well before we speak next, and of course the season could be very, very different in all the best ways possible, or in some pretty bad ways after those two games, because, you know, there is a potential that the interest in the league could be gone before the last game if the Southampton game doesn't go our way. If the FA Cup final doesn't go our way, that would be quite deflating as well, patently building up the pressure on that last game of the season. However, the other way of looking at it is we could have another trophy in the cabinet, gathering cups in May, and we could be, like I say, staring at Manchester City, going with them toe to toe to the last day of the season again. And I'll tell you, I would take that. If I was to ask you for any sort of final thoughts around all of this at the moment, like what's your takeaway? Is it like, I have FA Cup final nerves? Is it nothing really matters to me now until we get to Paris? What is it that you're thinking at the moment, just to wrap this up, and I'll get your final thoughts and we'll get out of here. Lisa Marie, just, you know, with the, like, it's such a mad season. It's been so exciting. It's a bit easy, I think, when you log onto your various socials. We're all a bit too prone to do that, to go down rabbit holes of pessimism with people who aren't really enjoying their lives. You know, they're not. God bless them, they're not. So where are you with this as you look forward to these next two games? I mean, what's the general mindset with you?
I'm cautiously optimistic. Yeah, I always go that way. I mean, that's kind of my default, but I think I have every, belief that we're going to win it until the final whistle blows, and we haven't, honestly. So yeah, and I'm still kind of getting used to this final thing. You know, this is still a little bit slightly new territory for Lisa Marie.
Yeah, of course.
So, and actually being able to sit down and watch them. So yes, I have overall a pretty good feeling about Saturday, and I think we're going to pull out the win. And you know, Southampton is such a weird team anyway. Their form is just so back and forth, and I mean, they, you know, lose by 16 goals one match and then beat somebody you wouldn't expect them to beat by 3 goals the next match. And I'm exaggerating, obviously, but they're just, you just never know. So I think we'll just have to just play the game in front of us, and, you know, and hope we pull off the win there. So I'm still all in. I have not thrown in the towel on, you know, the 4 trophy thing, although I do feel the 3 trophy thing is probably a stronger probability. That was a nice sentence. Please don't.
You do language good.
So yeah, but I do. I go in thinking that we're going to win until we don't, basically. And I pace the floor when I can.
Listen, it's your services to the Reds via pacing.
Well, it didn't work Saturday because I was pacing probably the last 15 to 20 minutes of that Tottenham game, trying to take notes at the same time, you know, to be on Nina's show. So that was kind of funny, but yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's going to be the point that gets us over the line, Lisa Marie, and your pacing will have paid off.
That's absolutely
that
true.
Could be the case. Kam, as you look forward to the next 2 games, are you still all in on the potentiality all over the shop, or are you adopting a more real? You've famously been the realist of the show in the past, or are you still kind of giddy and looking forward to stuff as potential?
I mean, as I said earlier, I mean, the fat lady's not singing, so everything's still possible. Realistically, I would have to agree with Lisa Marie that it's probably more likely we're going for a treble rather than a quadruple right now. You know, not many teams beat Man City, so we really need them to lose and draw, or 2 draws and we win 2. You know, it's a big ask either way. I'm all about the FA Cup right now, though. I don't know if you remember at the beginning of the season, I think I've pretty much said it at the beginning of every season, I really want the FA Cup. I just want the magic of the cup back. I was speaking with Harinder Baji earlier, and I said the same thing. I just want Liverpool to win the FA Cup, especially under Jurgen Klopp. That's every trophy won then by him that he could win. He's won the World Club Championship. He's won the European Cup. He's won the Premier League. He's won the Carabao Cup. He's won the Super Cup. There's just one left, and he's got all 6 then. And then there's Lemon's out there. He's got the full set, and there's Lemon's out there telling you he's not a successful manager at Liverpool because there's only one Premier League. You're talking about your Jack Jones lads. So I really want the FA Cup. I just think Liverpool winning the FA Cup, it brings something back to the FA Cup. It brings that little bit of magic back to the FA Cup. Granted, it will always be the 3rd trophy, but I remember being a kid, Trev. So do you. We remember FA Cup Day. We remember getting up and switching between, we used to switch between BBC One and ITV, depending on who was speaking and who was being interviewed and which camera crew was on which bus coach at the time, who was eating scrambled egg with baked beans on toast and then walking out in the suits, and it was just the magic of the FA Cup, and it was truly magic of the FA Cup. I want that back. I miss that. I truly miss that, and so I'm just so excited about Saturday. Gags was messaging me early in the middle of this, and I'm like, I want a pod, lad. Go back to your day job. I've got important things to do. Yeah. So, he's just finalising stuff for Saturday about getting down there. We're going to get down there early. We're going to go and grab a meal in the place where we've grabbed a meal for the last 2 Wembley visits. Keep these little superstitions and traditions going, and everything else. Make sure you're wearing the same underwear and the same socks and same vest if you wear a vest. I do like to wear a vest. I'm a bit old school like that, and just these little things. It's going to be a magical day, and everybody should try and savour every moment of it, because these days don't always last. We were most amazing team for a long time, and then we were in the wilderness for a long time, and we're getting back there, and just
that's the reality, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. Savor it. Most of our adult lives has been spent in that wilderness, with the occasional really beautiful highlight. And I do remember the joys of watching the build up to the FA Cup final. Primarily because Liverpool used to be in it a bit, which was great. But 86 and 89 are 2 of the happiest days of my life, because it was huge back then.
Yeah.
But the one that's sticking in my mind, to be honest with you folks, is the 2012 FA Cup final against frickin' Chelsea. And that didn't go our way, did it?
No.
And I would really like to reverse that. It's stuck. It's stuck in my cross sense, and I would really like to reverse that and get that sight of Hendo doing a shuffle with yet another trophy, getting warmed up for the big one at the end of the season, and it's exciting as hell. I'm really looking forward to. We're going to wrap this up, so the show has a bit of time to live before that final, and hopefully we'll all be reflecting on it with big giddy heads on us when we speak next, and on a win over Southampton in the meantime as well. That would be very, very nice, and keep us all on track for the potentiality that still remains that we can win the bloody lot. I want to wrap it up then, and this time be very careful to ask Lisa Marie if she's anything she wants to sign off with.
Well, yesterday began what I refer to as birthday season in the Hanahan household.
All right.
Kiddo number 2, yes, turned 17, which blows my mind. And kiddo number 1 will turn 20 on the 17th. Day of the Southampton game. So I tried to look up maybe something that happened the days they were born, the actual date, May 11th, 2005. Nothing happened that day. The only thing I could come up with was May 11th, 2005 was a Wednesday, And so this year, on his 17th birthday, May 11th, 2022, was also on a Wednesday. So, yeah, that's exciting. And then, I mean, seriously, nothing happened that day, which I guess is a good thing. I mean, you know, there's certain days that, you know, you don't want to be your birthday. So. And kiddo number 1, yeah, nothing happened. I mean, I even was like, oh, maybe Liverpool won a big game that day or something. Never even played on their birthdays. So, yeah. But kiddo number 1, yeah, nothing happened the day he was born either. But except for the fact that people were probably talking about, I went into labor on the 16th and was in the hospital room watching Rachel give birth to the baby on Friends. While I was in labor. So, but my child was not born until the next day. So it didn't exactly happen on the same day. So yeah, but when people, you know, talk about that as sort of a pop culture thing, I'm like, yeah, I remember. And let me tell you, it's a little bit weird to be in labor and watch someone be in labor on TV. That was, yeah, kind of, so anyway. So yeah, so happy birthday to my 2 boys. You know, kiddo number 2. Paul yesterday, and Rory's birthday is before we talk again next Tuesday when we play Southampton. So maybe he'll get a birthday win.
Nice. Well, happy birthday to both the lads. And, you know, I'm listening to you talking about your various kids there, and Kam talking about his 15-year-old kid. And I'm sitting here doing mental arithmetic, carrying the 4, realizing that my kiddo number only 1 is going to be 24 next birthday. How do you like them apples? That if that doesn't make you feel a little bit decrepit, I don't know what will. Kam, for you to finish off, what is it you wanted to sign out with?
Well, I see you're 24 next birthday, and I raise you to 26 next birthday. So
oh, well done you. Well done you.
Put your apples back in.
You win.
Yeah. And,
well, to be fair though, Brainch, you are at least 7 or 8 years older than me.
24 to be precise. Cat years or dog years or whatever. So,
but then do I have the youngest? Because my baby will be turning 13 on her next birthday.
I think you do, don't you? Oh no, your wee man's younger, isn't he, Kam?
He just turned 13.
All right, so
just turned it.
Just turned it. Okay, so yeah.
February the 20th.
Okay. Well, after we've done the child's age top trumps, you're signing off comments, Kam, or what?
Nothing. Just have a fantastic week, Reds. We love you.
We do love them. And if you are continuing to listen to us, thanks for that. We really do appreciate it. And the numbers that you listen in is always very pleasing. So do spread the word about the show if you haven't done, if you're keeping it to yourself. Like, I mean, we're not a secret society. This is not the Illuminati. Just let people know. You know, we don't meet with cloaks and exchange stonemason secrets. Just let people know. We want the word to spread about the show, and hopefully it's going to be very, very upbeat and up-tempo as we come to the end of the season, as we continue in our hopes of the possibility of the 4 trophy Reds. And I said it because I still can. We'll see you soon.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index, and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.